versus who's students. I think the politicians might outnumber the students in this room. But it's a wonderful thing because you're starting something really important. Usually it's tough to get the politicians out. The politicians are beginning to understand how important it is to engage our young people, to connect with you and start having real conversations about politics, about our communities, about the future we're building. It's never been more important. We have a generation of young people who are more aware, more informed, more plugged in, more connected than any generation before. But instead of feeling empowered by that knowledge, all too often we feel overwhelmed. We get cynical. We wonder, the world is so big, the challenges are so great, how can I possibly hope to make a difference? How dare I? Who am I to try and make a difference in this world? But record numbers of young people are getting involved. Record numbers of young people are getting involved at the local level, in community organizations, in shelters, in recycling programs, getting involved in international NGOs like Amnesty and Greenpeace and Right to Play and any number of them. This generation is plugged in. It's just not entirely certain that active involvement in politics is a worthy use of their time, of your energy. I'm glad to be able to see a couple of good friends here, Frank Valerian and Andrew Pellegrini, both of whom, Frank got elected in Guelph, and I'm sort of upset at him because he was the only other Liberal who actually increased his margin of victory, and he increased it beyond what I managed to increase mine. But he did it because he rallied the young people around him in the community. Young people, as you all know, want to have your voices heard. You want to have that impact. You're told you're going to inherit the world one day, and you look around and say, well, what kind of world is it that I'm going to be inheriting? How do I get to shape the world around me? And that reflection is something we have to start engaging with a little more responsibly. Because young people get a bad rap from time to time for being apathetic and cynical and disconnected. Well, it's true that sometimes we are. But it's not because we don't care about the world, but on the contrary, because we care so much, we're deeply frustrated that we don't get given the opportunities, the tools to reach out and shape the world around us. Well, part of it is waiting for those tools to be handed to you, and part of it is stepping forward and taking that space. And coming out on a beautiful day where we'd all rather be outside and listen to political speeches. And to think about where your positioning is, how you want to have an impact on the world. Because the 21st century is locked in for one thing. There is no political leader. No king, prime minister, president, pope, what have you, political, religious, ideological leader, who is going to be able to dictate the course of our societies, of our civilizations, unless they have full, engaged, active participation and buy-in from all citizens. Gone is the time where we can sit back and expect for the kids who got 90s in schools who are going to be running the banks and the law offices and the big businesses of our future. The kids who get 80s will be the teachers and the doctors. The kids who get 50s will end up in politics. We know that. The idea is that we can sit back for a small group of people to dictate how the world's going to unfold, and the masses will simply be like sheep or big consumers or just sort of follow along. Well, that's done. That's over. Individuals are now more aware, more informed, more engaged than ever before, and we need to understand that that comes with power. But that also comes with responsibility. So the bottom line is we do not get to build a strong, successful country, a strong, successful economy, a strong, successful planet, unless we are making sure that everyone gets a chance to live up to their potential. Everyone gets a chance to fight to succeed in their dreams. I mean, you cannot allow people to decide not to pursue post-secondary education because of financial barriers. That means we cannot afford to have kids going to grade 1 3 steps behind other kids because their parents couldn't find good daycare spaces. That means we don't get to have a society where single moms have to give up on the idea of going to night classes just so they can put food on the table for their kids because they're living so far below the poverty line that they never get to achieve their dreams. We have challenges in this society. The 20th century was a century in which we were fighting to recognize the inalienable fundamental rights of all human beings. Whether it be the civil rights movement in the States, whether it be our own Charter of Rights and Freedoms here in Canada, whether it be all the fighting for rights, that was the fight of the 20th century. The 21st century's fight will be around the inalienable value, not just the rights, but the value of every single human being. And the way you allow that value to come forward is you invest in people. You demonstrate people who feel that society doesn't care about them, marginalizes them, to become more powerful through education, through opportunities, through a society that gives them the tools so they can build their own success. And for me, it starts with young people. It starts with how we convince and demonstrate to our young people. And this is why I've been crisscrossing the country for the past 3 years since I've been elected as youth critic. I was here a few months ago, or maybe a year ago, giving a speech in the big atrium just out there, talking about this right now, where we don't get to tell young people anymore that you're our leaders of tomorrow. So that means once you grow up, you can be a leader, if you do things right between now and then. We need to start making our young people understand that you are our leaders of today, that everything you do right now matters and shapes the world around you. And your capacity to do that, and our capacity as a society, as political leaders, to give you the tools to do that, will more than just about anything else determine how successful we are, not just as a province, not just as a country, not even just as a planet, but as a species. These are the challenges we face. It's all up to individuals to understand their power, because the second we go from thinking that changing the world might be a nice thing to do, to actually trying to do it, well, changing the world for the better goes from being a nice idea to being flat out inevitable. Thank you very much.